Okay, so just for a second, I want you to look at the calendar on your phone. It's Friday, February 6th, 2026. If you're listening, well, you made it. You survived another week.
Yeah, the Friday feeling.
Exactly. You're probably thinking about dinner or maybe a weekend trip. Or let's be honest, you're just going to doom scroll for a few hours.
I mean, that's the usual plan.
And normally I'd be right there with you. But we have this document on the desk today that suggests we might need to snap out of it for, I don't know, 15 minutes.
It's a bit of a wake-up call for sure. We're looking at a source document. It's titled the 2026 Infrastructure Readiness Briefing.
Right.
And I have to say, usually these government or, think tank white papers are like 90% fluff.
Oh, absolutely. 10% substance.
This one is different. It is dense.
It's incredibly dense. And it's not talking about some vague threat in, like, the 2030s. It's pointing a very shaky finger at a specific window.
July 2026.
Which, if my math is right, is just 5 months away.
Less than 5 months, really. And before you panic, because the internet loves a good panic, we need to frame this the right way.
Okay.
The mission of this deep dive isn't to tell you to go buy a bunker. It's to look at a concept the briefing calls. Systemic fragility.
I highlighted that term too, because we think of infrastructure as this solid thing. The lights turn on, the water runs, the Wi-Fi connects.
Right, you just expect it to be there.
You don't think about how thin that wire actually is until it snaps.
Exactly. And in this briefing, it connects 4 dots that seem completely unrelated.
Totally unrelated.
You've got solar physics, subsea internet cables, legal surveillance frameworks,
Like FISA? Yep.
and digital currency.
It sounds like the setup for a very chaotic conspiracy movie.
It does. But the source argues they aren't random. They're all converging. And the scariest part isn't even the disaster itself.
No.
No, it's the definition of readiness.
Yeah.
We really need to figure out if readiness means fixing the problem or if it means something else.
Something like managing the fallout. Okay, so let's get into the gears of this. The briefing kicks off with the physical threat. And this is where my nerd brain lit up, because it starts with the sun.
Solar cycle 25, that's the trigger.
Right.
For anyone who hasn't been tracking space weather, the sun goes through these 11-year cycles of activity. Solar cycle 25 is the one we're in right now.
And every cycle has a peak, a solar maximum.
And this briefing, it notes that this specific cycle is modeled to peak in July 2026. So that's our first data point.
Okay.
The argument is we're entering a window of maximum volatility for what are called coronal mass ejections, or CMEs.
But hold on, we hear about solar flares all the time. Usually just means the northern lights look really cool in, like, Ohio or something. Why is the source flagging this one?
It's because of something called GIC, geomagnetically induced currents.
Okay.
When a massive CME hits Earth's magnetic field, it induces this current in the ground itself. That current then looks for a path of least resistance.
And in our world, that's not the dirt, it's our power lines.
It's the high voltage transmission lines. They act like these giant antennas spread across the whole continent.
Soaking it all up.
Exactly. And that excess current surges right into the transformers. Specifically, the EHV, the extra high voltage transformers.
These are the big boys, the ones that step down the power so it can actually be used.
Right. And the briefing describes a scenario where that GIC doesn't just trip a breaker, it creates something called thermal runaway.
Which is a very polite way of saying it melts the insides.
It physically liquefies the copper windings, destroys the insulation. The transformer becomes a multi-ton paperweight.
So this is where I got stuck, though. Okay, a transformer blows up. It happens. We see them spark during thunderstorms. Why is this a civilization-level threat? Can't we just truck in a new one?
That is the trillion-dollar question. And this is where the source gets really specific. It cites the Department of Energy's Transformer Supply Chain Report.
And it's not good news, I'm guessing.
This isn't like replacing a fuse in your basement. These EHV units are custom built. They're the size of a small house.
And we don't just have a warehouse full of them sitting around.
We have almost zero strategic reserve. But the real problem is the manufacturing itself. The briefing highlights the lead time. If you order one of these transformers today, any guess when you get it?
6 months. I'm guessing it's not Amazon Prime?
Not even close. Try 24 to 36 months.
Wait, what? 3 years?
Up to 3 years, and that's before a crisis. That's right now.
Why? What takes so long? Is it the tech?
It's the materials and the labor. The core requires this special kind of steel called GOES, grain-oriented electrical steel.
Okay.
There are only a handful of mills on the entire planet that can make it to the right grade. And winding the copper, that's largely done by hand by these super specialized technicians.
So you can't just spin up a factory overnight.
No way.
Yeah.
So play it out. A solar storm hits in July 2026 and takes out, let's say, 50 or 100 of these key nodes across North America.
And what?
The grid doesn't just go down, it stays down. That's the years, not days scenario the briefing is talking about.
That's the part that just hits you in the gut. We all complain when the power is out for 6 hours, oh no, the ice cream is melting.
Right.
Imagine a supply chain failure that lasts for 3 years. No refrigeration, no water pumps, no sanitation.
It basically pushes society back to the 1800s, but with our current population density, it's a catastrophic collapse scenario.
And the source is arguing that the people writing this briefing, they know this. They know the lead times. They know they can't fix it by July.
Which is why the briefing pivots so hard. If you can't guarantee the power stays on, you have to worry about the next layer down.
Communication.
Exactly. We move from the sky to the ocean floor.
The subsea cables. I feel like most people still think the internet is like satellites or the cloud or something.
Yeah, that's a common misconception.
But no, physically, it's just a bunch of garden hoses sitting on the bottom of the ocean.
Something like 99% of all international data travels through those hoses. And this briefing, it focuses on one specific choke point, the Malacca Strait.
That narrow little stretch of water between Malaysia and Indonesia.
It's the jugular vein for data connecting Europe, the Middle East, and all of Asia. The source specifically names the Unity and CMIWI cable systems.
And this is where the briefing gets weirdly specific about today. About February 6th, 2026.
Right.
The source claims there was a massive signal drop in that exact region today.
An 88.9% signal drop, to be exact.
Okay, hold on. I'm looking at my phone right now. The internet didn't break today. I was streaming music this morning.
Yeah.
If nearly 90% of the capacity just vanished, wouldn't we notice? Wouldn't the whole world get a 404 error?
Not necessarily, and this is a really crucial distinction the source makes. Think of the internet backbone like a 10-lane superhighway.
Okay.
If, say, an earthquake or a ship's anchor severs 9 of those lanes, the cars, the data packets, they don't just stop. They all try to merge into that one remaining lane.
So you get instant, total gridlock.
You get massive latency, packet loss. Financial transactions start timing out. The source argues that while you might just think, man, the Wi-Fi is slow today, the back-end infrastructure was absolutely screaming.
And the briefing doesn't call this an accident, it calls it a test.
A localized test of traffic redirection. That's the exact phrase.
See, that's the part that makes me skeptical. How do they know it was a test? Couldn't it have been a shark? Or a fishing trawler dragging its net? I mean, that happens all the time.
The source says they can rule that out because of the BGP data, the Border Gateway Protocol.
That's the internet's GPS, basically. It tells data which path to take.
Right. And according to the briefing, the rerouting protocols kicked in milliseconds before the drop even occurred.
Whoa, so the traffic started moving to the detour before the bridge collapsed.
Exactly. Which implies intent.
Someone wanted to see what would happen.
Someone wanted to stress test the system. They wanted to know, if we lose the Malacca Strait in July, for real, can we reroute the critical financial data through the Pacific fast enough to prevent a total market meltdown?
So we have the solar grid sitting there like a ticking time bomb, and now we have the undersea cables being actively stress tested. It really feels like the authorities are checking the lifeboats on the Titanic.
Or maybe securing the lifeboats for a select few. Which brings us to the third layer.
The legal layer.
Yeah. This is the shift from hardware to software. Or maybe wetware. The laws that control people.
And the briefing points right at FISA, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act.
Specifically, Section 702. Now, usually when we talk about 702, we're talking like privacy. The NSA reading your emails without a warrant.
Right, that's the usual debate.
But the briefing isn't worried about privacy here. It's worried about command and control.
The source uses the phrase crisis management protocols.
Yes. The argument is, if the grid is flickering and the internet backbone is in chaos, the most dangerous thing to the state is panic. It's misinformation. It's people organizing riots on social media because the grocery stores are empty.
So they need a kill switch. The EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, they've been warning about this for years.
And people usually dismiss the kill switch idea as this Hollywood trope, like there's a big red button on the president's desk.
It's not that simple.
It's not. But the briefing explains how Section 702 provides the legal cover for something called upstream collection and traffic shaping.
Traffic shaping. That sounds like what my internet provider does when I try to download too many video games.
It's that, but on a geopolitical scale. It means the government has the legal authority in a perceived emergency to prioritize certain types of data and just block others completely.
So they could block all civilian social media traffic to keep the banking data and government comms flowing.
Legally, yes. And the source claims this is being calibrated right now.
How?
They cite the Director of National Intelligence Transparency report, suggesting the filters are being updated specifically with a July event in mind. They're making sure that if they need to throttle the flow of information, the machinery is oiled and ready to go.
Okay, so let's recap the stack we've built so far. We've got a physical threat to the power grid that can't be fixed quickly. We have a test of the internet's ability to reroute critical traffic when a choke point fails.
Check.
And we have a legal framework in place to control the flow of information and silence the noise when things go bad. But there's one piece left.
The piece that actually affects how you buy food, how you survive.
The money.
The financial system.
The briefing brings up Executive Order 14067. This is the big push for CBDC, central bank digital currency.
And we need to be really clear about what a CBDC is, because there's so much confusion out there.
Right.
It is not just digital money. Your credit card is digital money. Venmo is digital money.
Exactly. I tap my phone to pay for coffee. I'm already digital. Why does the government need a whole new currency?
Because your credit card is just a digital representation of dollars. A CBDC is a fundamentally different type of asset. The briefing focuses on one specific feature from the White House technical framework: programmability.
Programmability, that's the key word right there.
It means the currency itself can contain code, smart contracts that dictate how, when, and crucially, where it can be spent.
Okay, but play devil's advocate here. Why is that bad? Maybe it's just more efficient.
The source uses the term permissioned access.
Permissioned access.
Think about cash. If you have a $20 bill, you don't need anyone's permission to spend it. The bill is the permission. But with a programmable CBDC, the issuer, the central bank, can set the parameters.
So, in a crisis,
In a years, not days crisis, where food is scarce and the supply chain has collapsed, the government could, in theory, program your digital wallet to only allow the purchase of essential items.
or only allow it within a 5-mile radius of your home.
Or limit you to 1 tank of gas per week. It effectively creates a digital rationing system.
The source calls this biometric lock-in.
Right. Which implies it's tied to you, physically.
Your retina scan, your thumbprint.
That eliminates the black market. You can't just steal your neighbor's ration card if the money is coded to their DNA.
That is deeply dystopian. But at the same time, from a crisis management perspective, I can see why a government would want that tool if the alternative is Mad Max in the streets.
They want a remote control for the economy.
And that's the synthesis. That's where all 4 of these dots finally connect.
It is?
Yeah, let's pull this all together. Because it's easy to get lost in the tech specs of the transformers or the legal jargon of FISA. But the narrative is actually pretty simple when you see it all at once.
It's a narrative of convergence. You have 1, the physical reality. Solar cycle 25 hits in July, threatening to melt the transformers we can't replace for 3 years.
2, the network reality. That Malacca Strait test shows they're preparing for major data loss.
3, the information reality. FISA gives them the legal framework to control the narrative when panic sets in.
And 4, the economic reality. CBDCs give them the tool to control resources down to the individual level.
Exactly.
So this infrastructure readiness briefing, it's not a plan to save the grid.
No, not at all.
It's a plan to manage the population after the grid fails.
That is the inescapable conclusion you're left with from the source material. Readiness doesn't mean prevention, it means control.
Right? They aren't trying to stop the solar flare. They can't.
Yeah.
They aren't trying to magically build transformers in a month. They can't.
So they're building the container to hold the chaos.
It really changes how you look at the news. You see a story about a new surveillance law or a story about a digital currency pilot.
And you think, oh, that's just politics.
Yeah. But if you view it through this lens, it's all prep work.
It's framing the house before the hurricane hits.
So we're sitting here on February 6th. The signal test supposedly happened today. The sun is getting angrier by the month. The lawyers are writing the rules, and the bankers are coding the money. What do you, the listener, actually do with this information, besides ruin your weekend.
I think awareness is the only real defense. If you understand that the supply chain for everything is fragile, you don't wait until July to buy extra batteries or water filters.
And you don't wait until the internet goes dark to print out your bank statements and your important documents.
Maybe keep a little cash on hand, just in case the programmable money has a bug in the code.
Or in case you want to buy something without asking permission first.
Exactly.
Look, we've covered a lot of ground from the surface of the sun to the bottom of the ocean. And I know it's heavy stuff.
It is.
But I'd rather know the storm is coming than be surprised when the roof flies off.
Absolutely. Knowledge decreases fragility. That's the whole point.
I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. Something the source material hinted at in its later sections.
This is the question that keeps me up at night from this briefing.
If all this infrastructure for traffic redirection and biometric lock-in is being tested and calibrated right now as we speak, is this system being designed to protect you from the collapse? Or is it being designed to protect the system from you?
That's the question. And I have a feeling we're all going to know the answer by July.
Stay curious, everyone. And seriously, go buy a flashlight. Thanks for listening.
Take care.